All right, so this week in Pax Day, the devs are back finally from their vacation. We've got an update coming, and that is R48. There's a lot of really cool things that they've already started teasing. And then we also got a patch for this week coming from Arcadia. This is a small quality of life patch, but it is increasing the quality of life for a lot of people out there who are gathering horns and other things. So we're going to talk about all of that in a little bit more, but hello and welcome back, all of you amazingly professional consumers of Pax Dei and Pax Dei related content out there. I'm Altari, the professional gamer, and this is another episode of the Pax Friday Review, the show where we talk about all the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has come out for Pax Dei over the last week. Like I said in the intro, we have one of the coolest teasers that I have seen for Pax Dei in a while. They answer a lot of questions, and y'all, they have specifically said they are now officially working on horses. I know that has been a widely requested feature for a lot of people. It's been about a year's worth of time for them to get to that point, but they also revealed that they have been working on fishing, of all things. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, I just wanted to say a special thanks to all of you channel members out there who are financially supporting the channel. There are so many cool things that we are able to do in the community, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you and your financial support. So thank you so much for all of your help. But you don't have to actually do that if you don't want to. And the best way that you can actually help the channel is by hitting that like button, subscribing so you can get notifications whenever we come out with new Pax Dei or Pax Dei related content, and share this video with any of your friends who are looking to learn more about Pax Dei. We pretty much cover all Pax Dei on this channel. That's all we do here. So you're in the right place if you're interested in all things Pax Dei. But like I said, we do have some patch notes to go over and also the teaser. We're going to go and not bury the lead here. So we're going to go over and take a look at the announcements, and I will see you all over there. All right, and here we are. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to say this, but we are on the Pax Dei official Discord here, and we got an announcement this Friday, and it says a first look at 48 and beyond. Now, there's a couple of cool things here that we're gonna get to. First and foremost, there are some really, really cool concept art pictures, not even concept art. These are in game. Nothing about this is concept art, by the way. And that's really, really cool. But we also got a lot of just smaller teasers alongside this inside the actual post. So we're going to go ahead and dive right on into it. Now, first and foremost, they did say it's going to be a kind of a smaller update, which is interesting because this actually doesn't seem like altogether that small of an update when you look at it. Now, in regards to that, what exactly is coming other than some new content and quality of life improvements? More specifically, we have this new shepherd hat, and with it, its own variation of the lull spell. So we're getting variations on lull or pacify, for example, which is actually kind of interesting. But then we also are going to be getting a new Sylvan staff featuring the same spell set as its existing counterpart, but with a stronger HP buff and increased crowd control resistance. So that is affecting other things like on your character as opposed to what the current one does when you equip it. But in terms of the spells that it has to offer with, you know, the healing over time, as well as the Bloodfed Grove, all of that, it should be the same. It's just you're getting different stats with it as well. Now, there is a new creature, the Radiant Heart, which is this really cool elk, deer, stag looking thing right here. Really, really cool. I like all the kind of wisp animations. This is going to be really cool to see this animated and in game because I have a feeling these are kind of wispy and they're kind of fluttering around. But nevertheless, that is kind of a close-up shot of it. It looks like they're doing something weird with the shaders here, though. So this isn't a perfect picture of it in game and being rendered. But nevertheless, we've got the Radiant Heart. And then we got a new plant, the Blessed Sevenfold. I looked this up. Now, interestingly enough, Blessed Sevenfold is actually kind of like a biblical reference, in fact, where it just means like abundance or being given a lot by God, in this case by the divine. So really interesting that that's what the plant is called. Now, I did try and look up what the plant looks like. I would imagine, if I had to suppose, just considering that there's new resources that are coming into the game, this obviously looks a little bit like the antler that we see on this guy right here. And in addition to that, it looks like we have these various leaves and things that are kind of carrying throughout. Now, this is totally supposition, but my guess is you'll also be using the Blessed Sevenfold to craft some of these as well. But other than that, we're getting new craftable decorations using these resources, including the Radiant Heart Trophy, Radiant Heart Chandelier, and then the Ward of Dimira. So I believe the Ward of Dimira is this dream catcher that we have. And it also looks like there might be an Adder Stone that's getting used in it. Same with the picture right here. So maybe there's additional uses for Adder Stones now instead of just making those really cool statues. But nevertheless, we also have, for those keeping a close eye, this is kind of more of the lore-ish update, is that R48 has been shaped under the gaze of Dimira, meaning, Dimira is the third Redeemer in Pax Dei. They are heavily focused they're obviously a heavenly descended angel that also synced up with the Fae of the world from Elfame, and they did their thing. Dimira came in and chucked down an Amber Fang spear to seal 3 of the demon princes, including Beelzebub, who is the primary antagonist, or his cultists are the primary antagonist of all of the game when it comes to Zebian cultists. That's where the Zeb in Zebian cultist comes from, Beelzebub. Fun little side note there. We went on a little bit of a side quest to get there, but we did get there. And actually, on that note, people have requested that we go through and do a full complete lore series. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We'll be working on it. Have no fear. It's one of my favorite things to talk about in Pax Dei. So we'll definitely be doing that at some point in the near future. Now, with that coming, the bane of most people's existence, which I have a feeling we've already heard enough of, is work on the wider UI revamp has also continued. And they're going to be including some additional changes, this time in the settings menu. So again, these are changes and improvements that they are making to the game. The UI needs to be updated so it can support future systems as well. It needs to have visual continuity and all of that. It is probably a quarter of a job of someone, and it's been slowly getting done over time. This isn't considered content. It's not considered anything other than they're improving the UI. The last set of UI improvements that they came out with R47 drastically improved parts of the game. So I'm not upset about this, but I also know that people are already going to start raging over the fact that we're getting more UI changes. It's been like a year of UI changes, and yes, but they're also working on other stuff. And then in terms of quality of life improvements, and this is a big one, especially for a lot of players who are coming back. There's been a lot of people recently who have been coming back because of the bow update with R47, and people are starting to get a little bit more interested. Also, I think some other games have gone their course and people are coming back to their standard things, and then people are also getting some of their friends involved with the 7-day trial. Nevertheless, people are coming back, and one of the things that's super annoying, if you come back, you are like, hey, where did all of my friends go that I was playing Pax Dei with? And they're in a completely new home valley. Well, your plots got sucked up into the redeeming queue if you let them expire, and they're stuck in your redeeming queue. In order to get them out of your redeeming queue, you have to pull them into your inventory, and then you have to run to wherever you go. I've actually helped friends move in this way, and it is one of the most annoying things. We had to have like 15 to 30 people at some points help them pick their stuff up and move them to a new location so that they could pick all their things up. Now, that is not the case. With R48, you will be able to access your redeeming queue at any location when your plot expires. So that's actually really cool. Now, with that being said, they're also adjusting how consumable buffs can be refreshed. This was something that they attempted to do earlier with other updates, and then it didn't make it into the update. But taking a consumable whose effect is already active will refresh it once 30% or less of its original duration remains. So what that means is you can refresh it without letting it go to zero, because that's been a pretty annoying thing. You have to wait till it goes to zero, and then you hit your food buff. And if you miss it, then you have to wait a little bit for your health to come back. So again, just looking at these really quickly and maybe making this a little bit bigger, I really like, a lot of people are kind of making comments on how big the hat size is. I just think like Barbosa. A lot of people were saying Radagast, but I feel like it's Captain Barbosa, and it's like, how big of a hat can you get? I really like this, but one thing that I also like is more of this Fae aesthetic that is coming into the game, and how the Fae this is, I think, what the Fae kind of look like in the game. And what I mean by that is they have these masks, almost faceless masks with some painting on them, and that's it. And I just really like that kind of aesthetic, and I can't wait for, this is called the Shepherd's Hat. I can't wait for the rest of the Shepherd's set as well. And then again, this is Daemira's ward. Now, there is a comfort system coming to the game. Some of these things, like Daemira's ward, I feel like will have effects on stuff like that when we get to that point. Maybe this is something that would help improve alchemy, for example. I don't know. But what I would really like to see in Pax Dei going forward is actually making more rare types of cosmetic items. Now, I don't know how easy it is to make the Ward of Daemira, but making it something that's actually kind of unique, where when someone's walking by your house and they know like what that is, they're like, oh, wow, that's actually very difficult to get. And something that's hard to get increases its value. It makes carpentry actually valuable as well. Carpenters would love that. But nevertheless, now we have this looking beyond R48. So in parallel, the work is still continuing on the next stages of the permission system, both on the underlying logic and its UI. We'll share more once it's far enough along for them to show properly. Maybe they could show it on the channel. Mainframe, the invite's still out there for you. But with that being said as well, they are officially now working on horses. They said, yes, work on horses is underway. I guess what that means is that if you go into the Discord, it's August 21st. So if you go to the Discord and you complain for over a year about not having horses in the game yet, the devs will eventually cave. So I want to know down in the comments, what's the next thing we need to complain about in the Discord for over a year so that we can get it around maybe a year and a half from now? Any takers? Anyone want to say? I don't know. Maybe it could be the die system next. I would really like to see the die system in Pax Dei. Maybe we should make that something that we go and just keep bringing up every week that we don't see an update on horses. With that being said, I still perceive us to be very critical on horses until we actually get them. I know a lot of people are really excited about them, myself included. And I just, the one teaser that they gave over a year ago, it looked very kind of rudimentary, but there's a lot of things they had to work on, especially with on the server side and synchronization issues, especially with going across borders at higher speeds, that the syncing just needed to be done in a certain way. It sounds like that tech now they're working on, or it's in a good position. But with that, they did say significant features do take time, so don't expect it in R48 or immediately after, but maybe it's something that we get by the end of the year. Maybe it's something that we get in the early spring of next year, possibly. But with that being said, they also mentioned that fishing was something that they are working on, and they did have a working prototype of it. Now, the concept of working prototype isn't something that means, oh, they can release it into the game and they're holding it back. That means they probably have a very simplified version of the gameplay loop with not many character models for the fish and not many other things kind of accounted for. However, they at least do have a working prototype, probably of a character going and fishing. Maybe at some point they could just give us a teaser of what that kind of feels or looks like. That'd be kind of cool. But then with that being said, another really cool thing was a lot of people have asked, myself included, there were a lot of old consumables, or not consumables, but wearables that we used to have, different types of armor, different feels. And some of that had to do with back in the day before the combat update came out for Pax Dei and we had a simplified armor set, you actually were able to control the different layers of your outfits. And with that, there were a lot more customization options available, but also there were just a lot more different models for armor. Right now in the game, you have basically like 3 different sets, 3 to 4 different sets in terms of appearance of armor, and they have very well-defined silhouettes for each of them. It's very easy to tell when someone's wearing heavy armor, light armor, medium armor. I believe that's intentional on their side. But then also in between, everything kind of feels a little bit similar. Back before the combat update, that wasn't the case. It was a lot better in terms of the variety. However, for whatever purpose, when they changed the combat system, they did have to adjust that. So it is on their radar. They do want to bring a lot of these models back, it sounds like. So that's something that they'll be working on. Maybe everyone will be able to get the, what it used to be the cap of the spider, I believe, or Spider used to drop the relic for it, where it has a nice little boop feather hat that's coming off of it. I know everyone really liked that as well. But even just the cloth jackets or other things that were available, it was something that people really, really liked to kind of customize with their character. Now, another thing that they did bring up, you may have also noticed that they have become more cautious about discussing upcoming features too far in advance during development. We regularly reassess priorities, and we can make the best use of the team and several other things moving forward. So sometimes they do have to reassess how they and the team are actually doing things. And when they do that, stuff stops. And a great example of that is they have a working prototype of fishing, but they now have decided to kind of pivot from that working prototype of fishing and move into horses, because a lot of people have been requesting horses. Less people probably have been more adamant about fishing. So sorry, people who wanted fishing. It sounds like you lost out to the people crying for horses, but better luck next time. A good example is this fishing and how they had to reduce it for horses. But with that being said, it means that, hey, fishing and horses have both been things the devs have committed time and effort and resources to developing, which means at some point we will get both of those in the game. And that makes me incredibly excited. And I just can't wait for being able to see some of this stuff as it comes in. Now, with that, means that they're not going to talk too heavily about things too far in the future. I think that's why we haven't heard much more about the comfort system other than what has been teased so far, as well as the alliance systems and all of that. So they're basically saying expect to have that continue, but they're going to continue to push more and more updates out. The most exciting thing for me is they said that this is a small update, and in a small update, we're getting a new armor piece to wear, a new type of Sylvan staff, we're getting a new mob, a new resource to gather, and several different craftable decorations that we can place inside of our homes. Really, really cool. Now, with that being said, we did also get a second patch that got pushed out into the wilds, and that patch was Arcadia patch number 2 for R47. So just kind of talking through some of that stuff. What did it fix? Fixed an issue where players could not destroy or use more crafters. It fixed a couple of other, these are a lot of just general fixes for some things that weren't working. Players could also delete crafting benches when they're kind of on the periphery of someone's plot. They also fixed an issue where the ceremonial pyre flame would appear flat if it was rotated before placement. That was kind of a weird little graphical issue for resources, though. And this one is really nice to hear. And a lot of people were excited. They increased the drop rate of animal horns from tier 3 and tier 4 chamois. So what that means is you're going to be able to get a lot more animal horns. It becomes more efficient to make all of the things that all of those tailors need and all of those leather workers need. So very exciting on that particular front. And then they also fixed an issue where the sooty grouse birds were not present in the game. It's still bugged. Currently, some are present in Eerie Pines, Forsaken forest biomes, but only the home valleys and not in the wildlands. So that's if you're looking for that, that's where you would find it. But other than that, they had to make some changes to different recipes that were available. They also fixed a couple of issues where attacking with staves caused repeat zooming in and out. This was one of the most annoying changes with R47, where it would just zoom in and zoom out and zoom in and zoom out. Really not enjoyable, and it kind of made for a jarring experience. They also fixed an issue where players did not receive bonus hawthorn heartwood for the corresponding miracle for chopping trees. Additionally, some achievement fixes, localization things. They also updated the name of your crafting benches. So now we have guild crafters, and that is basically, so you have the general crafter name, that's T1, artisan, and then guild crafters. I do believe guild crafters might be kind of alluding to professional guilds of the medieval, obviously the medieval period, but there was mention of a guild system and guild masters and guilds as organizations previously in Pax Dei. That's something that Peter and Solka, I believe, even spoke with me about on a previous interview that I had with them. And with that being said, maybe this is finally kind of a step in that direction. Who knows? Like I said, things change. Like they said, things change all the time. But that patch has been officially released onto the official servers, so you can enjoy that and experience that right now, actually. So really cool. We got an update and we got a patch this week. Very excited. Great way for the devs to come back from their time away. I hope that they feel nice and recharged and that they can come and get us a couple of really nice releases before the end of the year as we go into 2027. But let me know down in the comments what you're most excited for. Is horses really what you wanted? How many people are actually upset about not getting fishing first? But happy to see what that ends up being in the comment section down below. But hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe, so you can get notified whenever we come out with new Pax Dei or Pax Dei related content. Share this video with any of your friends who are looking to stay up to date on all of the things Pax Dei related. Thanks again to all of our channel members who are financially supporting us. And until the next video, I'm Altari, the Professional Gamer.